Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Ditch Decade Diets podcast. Today, I want to share with you how I would coach a client, what I would recommend to a client if they came to me wanting to stop their binge eating, but also they have to be mindful of certain foods that they are eating. They feel this need to restrict themselves because of certain health conditions, whether it is PCOS, whether it is Hashimoto's, IBS, whatever health conditions they're experiencing. I want to walk you through how I would coach them and what I would say. So, the first thing that I would say, because I do have quite a few clients that come to me who want to stop their binge eating, they kind of feel torn because they care a lot about their health and maybe they have certain health conditions where they can't just eat whatever they want, right? And side note, anytime you hear myself or someone else say unconditional permission to eat, that does not mean throw your health out the window. What that means is you just got to stop the restrictions, right? Like you need to be honoring your cravings. And I think for a lot of people, they think like I used to think, well, I don't want to be eating chips and chocolate and cake all day long. Like that doesn't resonate with me. And giving yourself permission to eat is very customized to you. It really does still take into consideration how you feel. So if you are dealing with health issues and you're wanting to stop your binge eating, the first thing I would say is like, you're navigating a lot right now. You are trying to not restrict yourself because you know that depriving yourself and restricting yourself is really just going to lead into more binges, but you want to take care of yourself so that you don't feel bloated or you're not in pain all day. And if you are not allergic to a particular item, right? Let's say you're not allergic to XYZ food item, whether it's dairy or nuts or chocolate. If you're not allergic, technically you're allowed to have that food. However, there's just going to be consequences, right? Whether it's stomach pain, bloating. So the key here is you really want to reframe your mindset around this. You don't want to tell yourself that you can't eat XYZ food item because then, number one, you're going to want that food even more. That's just the way that the human brain works. Like you tell yourself you can't do something, you want it. You tell yourself you can't have something, you want it. And then the second thing is when you do eat that food, because in your mind you feel like you are not taking care of your health, you know it's hurting your health, you're going to feel really bad. And then you just get into the screw it all or nothing mentality and you binge on it. So again, you could have, I was even doing a coaching call with one of my clients and she loves nuts. Like cashews are her favorite thing, which is funny because like cashews are literally one of my favorite nuts as well too. It used to be such a huge, huge, huge trigger food. I remember I would literally buy a huge stack of cashews and I would just binge and binge and binge on them. And this one particular client loved cashews so much, but she was told that she shouldn't be eating cashews because of the certain health condition that she was going through. And I said, well, you're not allergic to nuts. So you got to tell yourself you could have it, right? But what do you experience when you have nuts? And she's like, well, I get pain or my stomach hurts. Okay, so you can have it. You just got to know that there's going to be consequences, right? So it really is that mindset shift. You can't tell yourself that you can't have it because technically you can. You're not allergic. You can have it, but there's going to be consequences. And the worst thing for yourself, the worst thing for your health is stress. Hands down, stress is the worst thing for you. When you are spending so much time stressing over, should I eat this? Or, can I eat it? Am I allowed to? Am I going to get bloated? Like that stress can cause way more health issues and lead to way more binging than just actually allowing yourself to have the food. And that is so important because I used to struggle with a lot of, bloating issues. And I used to be so stressed out because not only did I not want to binge, but I also didn't want to feel bloated. And you might be in this position right now too, where you're like, okay, I don't want to restrict because I know I need to stop my binging, but I also like my doctor's telling me that I can't eat these foods, or I was told that I can't eat these foods. And then you feel like such a failure if you do. And I honestly just want to remind you that your mental health matters most. Your mental health matters most. Like your doctor will tell you, you must stay away from XYZ food as if it's law. And the reality is based off of your condition, it probably is best if you don't have XYZ food item, right? And for somebody who doesn't have an unhealthy relationship with food, let's say they feel very balanced and in control with food, even them having to restrict certain foods is going to be challenging. Like it's challenging for anyone to have to remove certain foods. So for you who's struggling with your relationship with food, you got to be even more compassionate. You got to be even more gentle with yourself, given your situation of restricting and binging. And so I encourage you to really listen to your body. More than anything, you listen to your body because you know your body best. Remember, your doctor, their job is, okay, you have this health condition. What they've been taught is, okay, these are the foods that you can't eat. Like that's what they've been told. So of course they're going to tell you that. But also they don't probably know your past history of restricting and binging. They may not know that you're binging right now. And even if you explain to them like, yeah, but if I tell myself that I can't have those foods, like it really messes with my head, they don't probably understand binge eating. They don't probably understand like the importance of healing your relationship with food. So you have to just keep that in mind. They're doing their job and now you got to do your job, right? So you can hear the information that your doctor is telling you and still be very mindful because of course you want to take care of your health, but you have to remember that where you're at in terms of healing your relationship with food, it's going to be worse if you're stressing out the whole time. It's going to be worse if you're restricting yourself the whole time. And binging is not going to be supportive of the other health conditions that you have, right? Like it doesn't matter if it's, Hashimoto's, PCOS, IBS, whatever it is, like binging and restricting is going to only exacerbate those health issues. So one step at a time, knowing that when you have less binges, like your overall health is going to naturally improve. So like make that, like get excited, because sometimes when you're binging and then you have these health conditions, I know it can feel overwhelming. It can feel like, where do I even begin? Like what is most important? Like what do I need to focus on? And when you focus on your relationship with food and you tackle your binges, you're going to get healthier, right? You're not going to have so much stress. You're not going to have so much anxiety. And stress, like I talked about, is horrible for your health. So if you're stressed, if you're less stressed and you're no longer binging, that's going to support your health overall. Something else that I would say though, that I recommend to a lot of my clients is boundaries with food. You don't need more rules. The last thing that you need is more rules, but boundaries are important and boundaries are created out of love. So for those foods that don't make you feel well, right? Let's say dairy. Maybe you don't eat dairy because it upsets you. Well, instead of saying, okay, you can never have dairy. Well, again, we talked about this, that's not going to fly because you're probably going to want dairy, but it's really a matter of, I'm going to create a boundary of maybe I don't have dairy every single day. Maybe I try to have it less, right? Because technically you can eat dairy, but you don't want to feel crappy. So maybe you have it less often. Maybe instead of a full cup, you do half a cup. Maybe instead of every single day for breakfast, maybe you just do it like once per week, right? Again, you know yourself best, but you can create a boundary around it. You want to feel good, and also to get creative. There's nothing wrong with alternatives, right? If you can't do dairy, maybe look into coconut yogurt. If you can't have gluten or wheat, maybe you have like quinoa, right? There was actually I had my parents over for Christmas and my mom brought over this quinoa pasta. It was so good. Like it was literally delicious. And my husband was like, holy moly, like this is so good. Like, what is this? And I'm like, oh, it's like quinoa pasta. Like it was so good because the way that my sister made it, she added oil, she added garlic, and I think like some pesto. Like it was just so good. So get creative. And it's okay to have healthier alternatives. Like, that's not you being restrictive. And that's really important to remind yourself. Because again, if you tell yourself, oh, I can't have regular pasta, I need to have this pasta, that's going to be not helpful. But rather, it's like, you know what? I could have regular pasta, but when I have the regular pasta, I end up in a flare and my stomach hurts and I'm in pain. So, I'm going to try this. Or maybe you do half and half, or maybe sometimes you do the alternative. Maybe sometimes you do the real thing. Like maybe if you're at home, then you have your alternatives. Maybe when you go out for dinner, right? Maybe you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna have the regular pasta, or I'm gonna have a little bit of cheese. Like knowing that there's gonna be some consequences. When is it worth it? When is it not worth it? And you might recognize like, no, it's actually not worth it. Like when I go out to eat and I order something with dairy or I have gluten, it's not worth it. I'm in the bathroom, I'm in so much pain, and that's okay. Again, you could have it, you don't want to be in pain, right? So the key thing is to still feel really, really, really satisfied with all of your meals. Like all of your meals you should look forward to. And get creative. There's different recipes, like when I was going through my gut issues, there was a point where I don't know, there was a bunch of foods that I couldn't eat, and I just got creative, like different types, even red lentil quinoa pasta, or what other things, like even lactose free yogurt, like just different things, and just get creative. There was one point in, I can't remember what year it was, where I was introduced to cassava or yucca. It was one food that they recommended me have just based off of my portfolio, or sorry, my profile in terms of my body and my gut and whatever. And it's literally become one of my favorite foods. But if I didn't try it, because I'm like, oh no, I don't want this weird thing. Like, why can't everyone else just eat regularly and I have to do the substitute? And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try it. And I ended up loving it. And now my family loves it. We actually had it for New Year's when I went to my parents' house. And so just get creative and have fun. And you want to really have an abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset. So for so many years on diets, it's always been, what can I not eat? What do I have to take out? What do I have to remove? And that leads to pressure, which leads to binging. So instead, when you're on this journey of wanting to stop binge eating and also be really mindful of your health, it's like, I'm going to have an abundance mindset. I'm going to really ask myself, what can I add in? Maybe for lunch, with my salad, I'm going to add in some avocado for some healthy fats, or I'm going to add in some chia seeds to my yogurt. Like, what can you add in this abundance, beautiful mindset versus what do I have to remove? What do I have to take out? Don't focus on what you need to take out. Even if you're not allowed to have certain foods, it's like, what can you add in? That is just so much more exciting. It's this abundance. It's like, oh, that feels so exciting. Like, what can I add in versus what do I need to take away? Because you've lived that life for so long. What do I have to take out? What can I not eat? And it's like, well, what can I eat? How can I get creative? What new recipes? And this might require a bit more time on your end. Like maybe on Sunday, you got to pre-plan a little bit more in advance, because you can't just go out to any place and eat whatever it is that you want, because you don't want to have a flare up. And there's nothing wrong with that, like of having to pre-plan a little bit ahead of time. Like it's going to be worth it. So again, I really care about my health. I really care about your health, and you don't have to sacrifice your health when stopping binge eating. Like that's not a thing. Like all of my clients really prioritize their health and they end their binge eating. You don't have to have one or the other. You guys know I'm all about, you get to have it all, right? Like you literally get to feel so damn good in your body and you get to have a healthy relationship with food. It's not one or the other. But if you need to make sure that the mindset is correct, because if you don't have the right mindset, it's going to feel like scarcity. It's going to feel like restriction. So instead, just see this always as a place of self-love. You're not depriving yourself if you're not allowing yourself to eat certain foods, right? It's out of self-love. Maybe I'm going to have it less. Maybe I'm not going to have it every single day, right? It's so going to be supportive for your physical and your mental health. So this is what I would recommend. Like I said, if a client came to me, and maybe you're experiencing this right now and you're like, yeah, I'm going through all these like health issues and I can't just eat whatever I want and I want to be mindful of my health, but I'm really wanting to stop binge eating. Like what I would really focus on is the mindset shift, a lot of reframing, you know, but I can't eat this. No, you can, but how is it going to make you feel? So the reframing, well, this is rewiring the brain, you guys. I feel like every single episode I talk about like rewiring your brain because that's what I'm all about. I want to help you reprogram your brain out of the diet binge cycle. I want to help you rewire your brain out of binge eating. And rewiring your brain requires you to reframe your thoughts, reframe your feelings around food, reframe your behaviors around food. Rewiring the brain takes into consideration your thoughts and your feelings and your behavior. So hopefully this was helpful. If you guys found this helpful, send me a message on my Instagram. You can take a screenshot of this and let me know that you're listening to this, that you're watching this. I see you. I so see you. And you're going to not only feel amazing in your own skin, but you're going to be able to conquer binge eating as well too. So thank you for listening. Have an incredible rest of your day and we'll see you guys soon. Bye.